Good evening, all. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. and welcome everyone. For the audience tonight, my name is David Friedendahl, and I am the mayor of Glendora and serve as the presiding officer over city council meetings. In consideration of others and the business conducted tonight, please silence your phones and any electronic devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora. We appreciate and respect your participation in this meeting. I would like to announce that all council members are indeed present and ready to conduct some business. Our first item will be closed session, and I would like to ask our city attorney to read us into closed session with the title for the item records. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor. Closed session will be held pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6 with respect to labor negotiations, and it is also concerning the employee organization, the City of Glendora Police Managers Association, and the Glendora Police Officers Association. The second item that the council will be meeting in closed session is with respect to anticipated litigation, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4, as the city is considering whether to initiate litigation in two cases.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. And as it is a public session, I would invite any public comments. I do not see anyone in the gallery. We'll ask the clerk if we have any correspondence.
We do not, Mayor.
Therefore, I shall close public comment and we shall recess to closed session. Thank you very much.
No pressure. Shortest meeting ever was the time you were.
That's right.
Stop.
Let's just remind them.
Stop.
Yeah.
For the record.
Greetings and welcome back. I'd like to reconvene and call us back into open session from closed session at 7:03. And ask the city attorney if he would kindly read us out of closed session.
Yes, Mayor, the closed session was had on two items. The first was held pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6 with respect to labor negotiations, which the employee organization that was being discussed is the Glendora Police Managers Association and Glendora Police Officers Association. In that matter, the council gave direction to its negotiators, but no reportable action was taken. And the second closed session item was with respect to anticipated litigation, which is authorized pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4, as the city is considering whether to initiate litigation in two cases. On the first case, by a unanimous vote of the council, direction was given to initiate civil litigation, the particulars of which will be provided to any person on request once the action is formally commenced by the city attorney's office. And in the second case, direction was given by the city council to the city's code enforcement officers for resolution of the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Appreciate that. And I'd like to welcome the audience here tonight. My name is David Friedendahl. I am the mayor of Glendora and will serve as the presiding officer of tonight's city council meeting. I would ask, in consideration of the business and others, that you silence any devices, phones, and et cetera, and refrain from speaking unless recognized or until recognized. And as this is a public meeting of the City of Glendora, we respect your participation in this meeting. This evening, I would like to introduce once again one of our favorite pastors, Michael Kordich from the First Baptist Church, to offer us an invocation, and he'll be followed by management analyst Chantel Correa from the Community Development Department, who will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. So if we'd all please rise for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father God, we are grateful for the good grace that you pour out upon each one of us, that every day we experience your mercy and your kindness toward us. We thank you for the kindness that you show to our community here in Glendora. Lord, we know that within even a city of this size, there are many, many who are dealing with hardships in their lives, physical hardships, financial hardships, loneliness, and other mental concerns, Lord. And so we want to just lift up our voices to you in concern for those who are dealing with these problems, Lord. Lord, we can't know them all, but we can lift these issues up to you who knows all things. And so that we're grateful that you can work in lives of individuals that we don't even know who they are. I'm thankful, Lord, for our community leaders, our first responders, and ask, Lord, for your grace to be upon them as they serve our community, whether they're police workers or firefighters, ambulances workers, Lord, who are in need of your special grace as they keep our city safe from harm. Lord, now as this city council prepares to do the business of the city, we ask, Lord, that you would give them a fear of you, Lord, that they would have a sense of awe of your presence, that they would make decisions for the community in light of what is right and good and holy. Lord, I pray that you would be and press upon them the need to do that which is righteous before your eyes. Lord, give them the wisdom they need to make those decisions. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
We can all turn to the flag and put our right hands over our heart. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor and Chantel. Appreciate your service. All right, let's see here. Next, we'll offer opportunity if we need to reorder or add any additions to the agenda. Is there anyone wishing to do so? Seeing none, thank you. We will move as presented. We now come to our public comment period, and I would like to open public comment, inviting all members of the public to address this legislative body. Speakers shall be limited to 3 minutes, speakers speaking once, both on and off agenda items. If you are in attendance, we ask that you please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the recording admin before the close of the public comment period. Once recognized, speakers should advance to the podium, state your name and subject matter you wish to discuss, and share with us in up to your 3-minute period. So I would at this time invite anyone who wishes to speak in public comment. Are there any voices? Seeing none, I would ask if we have any correspondence.
We do not, Mayor.
No correspondence. Wow. As such, then, I will close public comment and bring it back to our members for share and opportunities. With that, I'll start with Shauna.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Friday and Saturday, I had an opportunity to attend with all of you the opening ceremonies for Lassie League and National League, and that was so fun, especially Lassie League. They go all out. I had never been over there before. I have boys, so we've always been at American League. And it was really cool to see all of the participation. I think they said there's like 450 players, which I thought was really cool. And I have to say, I really love what Lassie League has done with their Victory program. They help, for those of you who don't know, they have a team of special needs girls, and they work with other players and help them play, and it's a really popular program. And I'd actually like to see if National or American would do the same thing. Why not with the boys? So anyways, I really enjoyed that, and I'll keep my comments short so we can keep on task tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Shauna. Mendel.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, and I just want to echo what has been said. It was great to be a part of those events and see the energy, excitement, and engagement of not only the players, but the parents, coaches, just, everyone. It was really fun. So thank you for allowing us to be a part of that. I also want to just say thank you. These storms can create all kinds of issues, and I want to say thank you to police and fire for being out there and standing up and being on call 24/7. And I want to say thank you to Bill's crew. Oftentimes, we don't think about the women and men that are on call, that when a tree falls or floods occur, that they're there to keep us safe. So, Bill, I hope that you'll let your team know that we appreciate them, and we never hope that the storms are as bad as we're told that they're going to be, but sometimes they are. And I know that your team is out there. So just want to say thank you and appreciate everything that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mendel. Karen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I believe that the National League, I don't know if they currently have a team this year, but they do have the Challenger team, which is the equivalent of the Victory team. So they have done that for several years, and that's been very nice that they've been able to do that. This Friday is March 14th. Numerically, that's 314 for the math nuts out there. That's Pi Day. And so let's go to Marie calendars. There's your excuse right there. But the Historical Society is celebrating that once again. And I believe it's from 4 to 6 p.m. They'll be serving pie. Their address also happens to be 314 North Glendora Avenue. So they really like to live it up. So at that same time, almost right next door at 300 North Glendora, you could come and get some soup from 5 to 7 and go have your pie. Or if you'd like to eat dessert first, go get your pie and then come get some soup between 5 and 7 for empty bowls. Thank you.
All right, Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. So this last Friday, David and I traveled to the AQMD parking lot where they showed off all their new electric toys. And Bill showed up as well. I had to pull David away from a hedge trimmer he fell in love with and wanted to take home.
We have a need.
That and a big semi truck they kind of fell in love with as well. It was fun. It was interesting. Got to sit in South Pasadena's Cruiser, which is a Tesla. Seemed a little cramped to me, but they love it. Apparently they've
That
saved.
was the front seat you were in, right?
Yes, the front
Yes, sir.
seat. I haven't been in the back seat for a while. It was apparently, they're only 3 square miles, so it works for them. It's all flat, and apparently they're saving quite a bit of money on that. I don't know if it necessarily worked for the Glendora, but it was a nice event. Saw a lot of folks there, and they were milling through the whole day that we were there. So speaking of AQMD, I'm on a subcommittee for environment and energy with the COG, and we talk about all kinds of different items. AQMD came and did a presentation, a revamp of their all-electric and getting away from natural gas. They had a mandate before, it failed miserably earlier in the year, of mandating everyone over a 5-year period to remove all their, if not replace all their gas appliances with electric. So they have a new one. It's their rule 1111 and 1121, which over I believe it's a 4-year period, they're going to phase out with the manufacturers their manufacturing of gas appliances. And it goes like this. In 2027, 2028, they have to reduce down, they can only have 70% gas appliances. Then 2029 and 2032, 50%. In 2033, 2035, 25%. In 2036 and thereafter, only 10% of the appliances manufactured can be gas. The problem with that is the grid is not resilient enough to handle that kind of a load. Some of these older homes cannot just swap out gas for electric. You have to change out the meters and the panels, and there might not be enough electricity in the neighborhood to support that. So some of the costs are somewhere between around $19,000, $20,000 to replace, let's say, a forced air unit. Just to redo a panel and some of the other electrical work can be as much as $20,000 to $40,000 as well. So we're on record in the city of California, the city of Glendora, to push back on this. It's still not over with. The COG has not taken a definitive stance on this, but other COGs have. San Bernardino has, Orange County has, and it's a big issue from a financial standpoint. One of the issues is this, that we're still trying to get some information out from the COG. Apparently 80% of the NOx that they are supposedly experiencing here is from vehicles. The other 20% they have not identified. So I'm trying to find out what percentage of that 20% is really from natural gas appliances. My guess is it's pretty low. I've reached out, had a conversation with a congresswoman in Washington, and they are looking into the EPA to find out what restrictions California really is under, since AQMD is really not coming forth with some of the information. This is a big deal particularly for obviously our homeowners and particularly some of our older folks and their financial well-being. We need to make sure that we take care of them, and we also have a resilient grid to support this moving forward. I believe, and then the next hearing is, the hearing for this is May 2nd. The problem with May 2nd is it interferes with the SCAG meeting. We've asked for them to move it to a date certain. Beyond that, they have not gotten back to us because we want as many people there to be engaged in this discussion moving forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Michael. As we've heard, there's been many activities going into spring so far, or I guess we're still in winter, but you can decide what it is. I invite us to all look at the city's activity guide. There are wonderful events coming and no end of activities to keep busy with at low cost to no cost. So if you've got families that looking for things to do, we can provide that. Just look at the activity guide, get your calendar out, and put it on there, because there's a lot of fun coming, going all the way in through summer, and it's beginning now. With that, offer the city manager and attorney any comments? No? All right. Thank you very much. Our next item is item 4, which is special items. It's a report on Cal Cities. And tell you what, let me see here. Yeah, can we take an opportunity maybe to entertain one public comment? Hold on. Jack? Any opposition to entertaining? All right. We do have a busy person come in, and I think he wants to promote one of those great activities, so we certainly would like to invite him to do that. Mr. Jack
Good
Cabanilla.
evening, everyone.
Manila?
I would go around the room here, city clerk, city recorder, counselor, city manager, city council, mayor, mayor pro tem. So I'm here to promote 2 things. Trails Day is coming up, and Earth Day. Trails Day is going to be on the 5th of April, and then April 26th will be Earth Day. And then at the Oakdale Cemetery is going to have their regular Memorial Day celebration. I think it's the 26th. And Karen and I are on the committee, and I just want to promote that. I'll have more about it later, but I just want to get it out there. And I'll have agendas for everybody, what's going on when that time comes. I'll be here next meeting. Okay? Thank you very much. Sorry about
And
the,
it's at 9 a.m.
yeah, 9 a.m.
9 a.m. at Oakdale. Jack?
And we moved it up because of Fairmont is having that later. Is that correct?
That would be correct, at 11:30. We'll promote that a little later, and I won't say who started the programs, but
And it's been
I
a
think the
great
calendar
event.
kinda
We have a
helps.
Great agenda.
they are both very good.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, and sorry for the late intrusion.
Thank you, happy to oblige, and thank you for taking over the leadership of the Glendora Trails Committee.
We're trying to build the membership back up. It's going to take a
Yeah,
while.
it's
I've
hard
already
work.
been to 2 high schools and 2 church groups, and got more to come.
Great.
All right, everybody have a blessed evening.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that'll bring us back to item 4. It's a special item, and it's an update on Cal Cities being presented by City Manager Adam Raymond.
Good evening, everyone. Quick update for you this evening. One of the items on our list to come back to council has actually been a conversation on Cal Cities, and we're hoping to get a little direction here tonight from a consensus with the council. So hard to believe it's been almost 2 years since Carolyn was here as the CEO of Cal Cities, and providing an overview of their services and talking about what's happening at the state of California. And council had used that opportunity to express some of their concern about the league's direction and really encouraged new ways of advocacy. Just by way of background, the city council does appoint individuals on this body to our regional, our local region portion of Cal Cities. And in this case, for the last couple cycles, it has been both Councilmember Davis and Mayor Pro Tem Alois. On July 9th, the city council approved on a 4-1 vote a resolution that was to be taken to the league. So the league has several ways in which they set policy, one of which is this resolution process at the annual business meeting. And the verbiage here before you simply says that the state legislature should not pass any laws about council members, that they don't also put those same restrictions or opportunities on state legislature. While that should seem common sense, it is not always the case. And the council stipulated that if there were any material changes to the language or intent of this resolution, that it would come back before council. The city council annually, similar to adopting appointees to the board, appoints those individuals who will attend the conference and vote. And the same two individuals that I just mentioned are also the primary and backup for voting at the league's conference. So in October, that meeting was held. The city's resolution was introduced because there wasn't the proper majority of people to make their quorum, even though the majority of the individuals who voted were in favor. It led us down a long and interesting process, which I'm sure the Mayor Pro Tem will comment here at the end. But it all culminated in February of '25 that the board unanimously approved a very similarly worded policy statement that will be included in the in Cal City's annual policy push for legislation in the state of California. And with that, I think the city, through this process and through the involvement of the council members on the various boards and commissions and policy committees, I know the mayor is part of a temporary one about fire insurance and looking at insurance standards. I know several staff members are also on the various boards and policies of Cal Cities. And so we're simply looking for direction. Do you want us to come back with more conversation on Cal Cities, or for the time being, can we move this off of our to-do list? And with that, Mayor, turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. I'll invite any comments or questions. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation, Adam. This 9 months of my life, I'm not getting back going through this process. It was quite a process going through the policy committee, the resolution committee, then the General Assembly, and then the board, and then back to the policy committee, and then I wasn't there for the board meeting, but it obviously passed. But what came out of this, in my opinion, is it opened the eyes of the staff at the league. They saw some areas where it wasn't working so well, and that they had some staff direction and issues. They had it from a management standpoint, and they looked at this and saw this seriously. They were concerned that this was going the wrong direction. It was going to cost them some membership, so they tightened up and they did some of the right things. And I think that moving forward, the league is going to be better for this process. We were the only ones that submitted a resolution and passed a resolution. The whole state of California was 474 members, I believe. And we were the only ones that did it. Karen was a little frustrated at the General Assembly meeting when we had somebody that tried to pull it, and they were unsuccessful, and we went forward. But it was a process, and I believe that the league is going to be better for it. We were heard, we were understood. A lot of other folks got involved, which is what we want. We want involvement in the right direction. So I'm not sure if my colleagues have anything to say, but I'm ready to receive and file this and move forward.
Yeah, I think so, and I would offer that as long as the league continues with the direction they're going, I know that the educational opportunities, the networking, the collaboration that the cities have together, and the quality of the staff is valuable. So I would certainly encourage us to continue our participation. And I see Mr. Mendel would like to make a comment.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that's been said, and I think that, Adam, that you've done what we've asked you to do. My only thought would be to continue to speak into the fact that they need to represent the fact that we need empowerment. I am sensing that the erosion continues at a city level, and they sometimes tend to forget that they need to represent us, and the government of our state is not always in touch or aware of what happens on a city's main street. So I would hope that we would continue to speak into that and encourage them to make sure that we don't lose power on a lot of different areas, and that they do what they can to to help us keep that. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Karen?
Thank you. I was going to say that I think it's a very important partnership that we have with the cities. It gives us the power of that large organization as well as the educational opportunities. I don't know if you need a motion, but I would be happy to make a motion that you could take this off your to-do list and we can move forward.
I'll
Any
second that.
objections?
Agreed. Is that a direction, or do we need to make a vote?
So,
I think we're
Mayor,
good.
if I can, I want to make
Please.
one other suggestion, note. Though, even though this is aspirational for the legislature to put this into either a resolution or a law, this is the policy now for the league. So when they go down their tick list of analyzing bills and legislation, they now have to conform whether they're going to support this or not based on this new criteria. So it's not all for naught. It is on the league side, and the league is a big animal. And so if they say we're not going to support this because it's not a level playing field, they're not going to support it, which is huge with 476 cities. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Adam, for that follow-up report. Next, we'll go into a public hearing. It's a public hearing to receive and consider proposed funding recommendations for the fiscal year 2025-2026, the Community Development Block Grant Funds. And presenting the information tonight is, once again, the second appearance tonight. Thank you, our management aide, Chantel Correa. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Tonight is the first public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant. I'll give you a quick overview of the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG. It's a federal-funded program that provides financial assistance to local governments and communities. The aim is to support projects that enhance the quality of life for low to moderate income individuals. This program is administered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. The primary goal of CDBG is to foster community development and economic stability. It funds a wide range of activities, including those focused on housing, infrastructures, public facilities, economic development, and disadvantaged communities. We're here to review and consider accepting the proposed funding recommendations for fiscal year 2025-2026 and to open the 30-day public comment period. To effectively utilize these funds, we must ensure that the project aligns with the program's national objectives. The key objectives that guide how the funds can be allocated is 1, benefit low to moderate income persons. This could focus on projects that directly assist individuals or households with low to moderate income. 2, eliminate slum or blime. This objective targets areas suffering from urban decay. 3, meets urgent needs. This involves providing financial support for emergency situations that require immediate actions to address critical community problems. Additionally, any project we fund must align with our 5-year consolidated plan. As a part of the process, in 2023, the council approved of the 5-year consolidated plan covering the period of 2023 to 2028. In 2023, we actively engaged the community, gathering valuable input to identify the most pressing needs. Based on the feedback, the following priorities were established: infrastructure and public facilities, economic and human development, public service and fair housing, administration and planning. These priorities reflect the community's concerns and will guide us how we allocate the funds over the next 5 years. As we move into 2025-2026 fiscal year, this will mark the 3rd year of the consolidated plan. Currently, we still await final CBG allocation amount from HUD, but per HUD's guidance, we are using last year's allocation amount, which is an estimate of $314,125. If we receive an updated allegation amount before the next public hearing, I will let you guys know. In addition, we also have a $106,826 in prior year unallocated funds. which these funds combine a total amount available for activities are $420,951. And as a part of the process, we are required to post a Notice of Funding Availability, or NOFA, to invite potential applicants to apply for the CBD funds. In December, we published the NOFA in the newspaper and also posted it on our website. The application period ran from December 9, 2024 to January 10, 2025, and we received 2 applications. So for the fiscal year 2025 and 2026, here are the proposed activities. For administrations, we are allowed to allocate up to 20% of the funding, which covers staff and consultant time for the general administration. As a part of the requirement, we must address fair housing. And at the end, the Housing Rights Center has applied for $20,000. And just a quick overview, the Housing Rights Center is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting fair housing and ensuring equal housing opportunities for all individuals. Additionally, Public Works submitted an application for a curb improvement project. So including the 106,826 from the prior year unallocated funds, we are recommending that the remaining 80% of allocations will be directed to the street improvement project. The Public Works Department identified the street improvement project in low-income census tract areas and prioritize at least one project each year. For 2025-2026 cycle, we recommend project will include installing ADA-compliant curb ramps between Glendora Avenue and Sunflower Avenue, spanning from the 210 freeway to Juanita Avenue. Currently, the neighborhoods have sidewalks, but no curb ramps or ramps that are ADA compliant. So the work will include replacing the curb ramps, the damaged curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and provide safe and accessible paths for our residents. The project will take place in census tract 412.3, block 1 and 2, benefiting a total of 4,895 residents in that tract. And then block 1 alone, 2,510 residents will benefit, with 2,385 of them being low to moderate income individuals, including 1,085 persons in need. So the timeline, real quick, is so tonight marks the first public hearing where we're reviewing the fund activities. We also have a consultant finalizing the draft action plan, and the review period will begin on March 21st and run through April 22nd. During that 30-day period, the draft will be available for public comment on our website, City Clerk's office, and the planning counter. Then we'll come back on April 22nd for the second hearing, where council will hear any public comments, and following that, the council will have the opportunity to approve the draft action plan or to make adjustments based on the feedback received. And once finalized, we will submit it to HUD. So tonight, we are opening the public comment hearing to recommend review and accept the proposed funding recommendations for fiscal year 2025-2026 and authorize a 30-day public comment period for fiscal year 2025-26 action plan to begin on March 21st, 2025 and end on April 22nd, 2025. And that concludes my presentation.
Great, thank you, Chantel. And at this time, I would like to open the public testimony and then invite any speakers that may wish to speak on this item only. And if so, you are invited to do so. Please fill out a speaker card and leave it with the recording admin when you are finished. Is there anyone wishing to speak during this public comment period? Not seeing any. Have we received any correspondence?
We have not, Mayor.
Okay, very well then. I will close public testimony period and close the public hearing and bring the item back to council for discussion. And as such, I always roll the dice and take turns. So Mendel, you get to go first.
No, you explained it well, an excellent job. I really like the fact that you outlined the number of folks that will be able to take advantage of these things. So let's just get it done. Thank you.
Great. Karen?
No comment, thanks.
All right, thank you. Shauna?
Same, no comments. Great presentation, I appreciate it.
Michael?
Well done, Chantel. I really appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
My only comment is, it's nice to see that such a large geographic area is going to get these services. So well done and good choices. With that, I will accept the motion to open the public comment period and approve the program.
So moved.
Close the public comment
Close the
period
okay,
and hearing.
thank you. May I close the public comment period?
So moved.
A motion made by Michael. Do I have a second?
Second?
Karen, second by Karen. And I believe we get to vote. Looks like it passes unanimously with all members voting yes. So thank you very much. Motion carries. Okay, moving into our consent calendar, items 6 through 9. Items on the consent calendar will be enacted by one motion without individual discussion unless a council member has requested it to be removed for separate discussion. Does anyone wish to remove or to have discussion on an item?
I'll move items 6 through 9.
Second, and I would like just to give a shout out to one person on a couple of these if I
Okay,
could.
no poll, a couple of quick comments. Yes, Mendel?
Yes, on items 7 and 9, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Park himself, John A. Geary. He has lived in our parks for 30-plus years, not lived in them, but has been a part of creating them and caring for them. And on item 9, I just want to say that 3 of them are done now. Yay, yay, John. And item 7, we will see another one done soon. So thank you, John, for the passion that you've shown to upgrade these parks so anybody and everybody can be a part of having a great time at all of our parks. So thank you to you and your team. Appreciate you, man.
And I think with that guidance, that makes all of our parks in the city with updated playgrounds and pouring safety cushion, wonderful cushion stuff. So that's a lot of fun. Go see them. With that, I'll invite us to vote. Please do so. It looks like the consent calendar passes unanimously, all members voting in favor. So very good. Thank you. Brings us to item 10, unfinished business, a report on city facilities, capital needs, and funding opportunities, and invite City Manager Adam Raymond to report. Adam?
Good evening again. This is one more of those items that it has been tasked with coming back, and so we're finally at the point where we can have a follow-up discussion, and we'll seek some city council direction. I don't have the PowerPoint up on my screen here. Okay, thank you. So, just at a really high level, I think it's important for everyone to remember that in the city's current strategic plan and the draft plan that we'll bring back, the city council has really required that a great deal of resources be placed to address infrastructure, and sometimes infrastructure many, many years old, deferred maintenance. In fact, over the last 5 years, we've spent $50 million completing projects from streets and sidewalks and water infrastructure. On your agenda tonight is playground resurfacing. We've done other major playground upgrades from Gladstone Park to Louis Pompey to Finkbeiner with more planned. The public conversation about the status and quality of city facilities really starts publicly in January of '23. We provide a contract to MHP to do an in-depth instructional analysis on the city's library. For those of you who have had the chance to visit the library when it rains, even a little bit, rains inside the building too, and has for several, how do I say this, almost 50 years at this point. So in addition, the city council has also had a hallmark of really studying all the infrastructure to ensure that there's plans. In September 23, we had the culmination of a comprehensive water system assessment. It identified $350 million needed over the next 30 years. And the city council, in its most recent 2-year spending plan, has incorporated $30 million of those program funds over the next 5. In January 24, we have a discussion on the library assessment that was approved the year before, which also includes a visioning exercise amongst members of the library board and the community on what sort of public facility would best serve both the needs of the library and the community for information sharing, gathering, and access to information and resources. In January 24, the City Council also approves an MOU with Glendora Unified School District. In addition to other elements, we include a portion that thinks about future capital partnerships. More recently, the City Council's approved $600,000 for the completion of a new aquatic center at the high school, or a refurbished aquatic center, I should say. But it also talks about the way the City Council has moved forward trying to find the best way to get the biggest bang for the buck, to provide additional amenities and to upgrade those facilities with another partner and provide the community with as many resources as possible. In August of 24, based on a direction from the council meeting when we talked about the library assessment, the city went out and surveyed the public on a potential revenue measure as it relates to city facilities, which showed initial feedback support for citywide facility upgrades at about 53%. A library-specific bond and revenue measure came back at about 45%. It's interesting to note that any time that we poll the community, either for quality of life or a specific issue, we always ask the same questions about quality of life, meaning what are the things that we could do the most to have the greatest impact on your life? And it's not surprising that the two highest were both infrastructure at 17.8% and homelessness at 17.2%. And I would just add that the city's been surveying the public for more than 12 years, and these two items are homelessness of late has been near the top, and infrastructure has been near the top since our first study in 2012. In November of 24, ACA 5 fails at 55% no. ACA 5 would have allowed cities to pass revenue measures at a 55% approval rating, which is the same that school districts have for their bond facilities. That measure failed, and it would have changed. Ironically, it failed at 55%. Some number irony there. And it would have reduced the threshold from 2/3. And not wanting to wait for a revenue bond measure or a further discussion, the city council and city staff have continued to move forward in finding ways to prepare for future facilities and upgrades necessary. One of the areas of the city and set of facilities is the public works yard. That's probably in some of the worst shape that we've had. It's been many, 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 many years since we've had any amount of funding available for a significant rehab. City council approved plans that were about $750,000 to develop construction plans for that facility. We estimate, 10, 12 million in currently, based on potential increases. If we do have a trade war that occurs in tariffs, we could be facing in the 12 to 15 million category, since lumber and steel are required for this facility. In February of 25, or last month, the city council received your budget update in mid-year. In culmination of all the other activities here, which is just a brief summary of all the capital items the city council has taken on. The city council asked us to identify what the totality of the costs are in our city facilities. So we have a report that measures a facility by facility, the cost necessary just to keep us status quo, but to fix some of the issues, roofs, HVAC. That report signals a little more than $50 million in current needs. for a status quo sort of set of facilities. We know based on the square footage costs of over $1,200 or $1,300 a square foot, that includes finished with furnitures, fixtures, and equipment and the whole 9 yards, that our total cost for a significant revamp to bring some of our facilities to modern standards and increase the public's access to those facilities is in the range of $250+ million. We also base this number, there's other cities that have done these types of projects recently, and it is about that price range as well. So, current financial overview, the city remains in a strong financial position. We've had some changes in our sales tax estimates, but 50 years ago, the city was anticipating to have 80,000 residents and 23,000 school students, and we were really preparing for a city that was larger than today. Really, that development slowed down in the late 90s, and in fact, our population is relatively the same since the year 2000. We're at about 50,000 residents now. Three of the last 5 years, we've actually lost population. And so without the major development comes the lack of resources needed for a lot of the infrastructure and roads. And quite frankly, one of the biggest reasons that cities across the state of California struggle with new facilities is that with the changes in Prop 13 in the late 1970s, really reduced cities' ability to raise money necessary for those new facilities. In fact, most of our facilities are pre-Prop 13. In your agenda packet this evening is a pretty lengthy topic about that and how the current main library was built. And so if you're curious on how those changes occurred, that is in your packet this evening. Our current spending, like I mentioned, thanks to Measure E and Z and the public's faith in how the city spends its money, while we will see some decreasing sales tax revenues as it relates to auto sales primarily, and rising insurance costs, which everyone feels, not just the city, but everyone. We still remain in strong financial position, but our discretionary funding for a lot of the capital projects that we've taken on will diminish to some extent. We also have the unknown impacts of some of the federal spending changes as priorities change and the various groups decipher how federal spending will move forward. We are unknown of the impacts. Earlier this week, though, we were made aware by one of our local legislators that some of the 2025 projects, which included police radios for us, with the draft, a continuing resolution or appropriation to keep spending at a federal level, all those local projects will be removed. So not just a Glendora issue, but cities across the nation. And so if you're looking to cut money, that's a logical way to do it. So that's one of those things that we need to keep an eye on as well. Okay. So one of the questions that the city council has discussed previously as it relates to revenue measures, and I apologize. Okay, there we go. Are how does the city or how does an agency pay for facility-related improvements, and really post Proposition 13 and really more specifically after Prop 46 in 1986, the cities are required to pass a 2/3 vote, which would allow a city to issue bonds for up to a certain dollar amount to pay for things specifically included or areas in its bond measure. Citizen-led initiatives or those done by the public have the ability to avoid the 2/3 threshold, and it's 50 plus 1%. In order to do that, though, there would have to be a citizen group or groups that pull together. They would need about 10%, as you will note here, of the total registered voters in the last count, which here is about 3,500 registered voters, and those would have to be submitted along with ballot language, and there's a whole process for that. And really, the citizen initiative with the thresholds there would meet sort of the sampling that we've already done with the community through of various polling. However, a city council-led initiative with the failure of ACA 5 really limits our ability to move forward with that sort of proposal. So The report this evening includes lots of large numbers. It includes a pretty global overview of the totality of needs, not so much at a facility by facility granular level, but just this is our next step in this conversation. So the library board, I know, and the Community Services Commission have inquired about the status of the conversation that the city's councils had about its facilities and how we continue to move forward. So with that, happy to answer any questions, look for some discussion on the council, and if you have any direction for us on the steps you'd like us to take, we're happy to take that and come back to you.
Great,
to you, Mayor.
thank you, Adam. Excuse me. There we go. Karen?
Just looking at that timeline, what would be the timeline for a group to organize and help me think of when the next election would be and counting backwards?
So citizen-led initiatives have a different timeline where typically a city council-sponsored election with a revenue measure has to be at the same time that there is a member of the body up for election or eligible for reelection, which for us is essentially even-numbered years moving forward.
Right.
Citizen-led initiatives, and I can come back to you with the exact verbiage here, tend to have a different process where they can go on the next available election once they meet the requirements, or if they meet
Right,
the
if
requirements.
I'm just trying to think when that is and how far in advance, so if
You're
there
probably-
were some citizens out there just eager to go, when do they have to get moving?
I'm sure we could come back to you with an exact amount. I'm not sure a June timeline is even remotely feasible or possible, but
Right.
I'm sure there probably is an election in November timeframe, but I know Kathleen will know the answer to this question.
Yeah, I would say the soonest one would have to be the November of 2025 election. And for any elections after that, I would have to verify if there's going to be a March, April, or June the following year.
Okay,
So that's some of the timeline there. I mean, there's a lot that goes into a citizen initiative, and happy to provide some details if you want us to come back with what that looks like. I know Kathleen, included in your packet this evening is a summary of the various code sections and how that works. But that's about.
so the second part of that question then is, what is allowable and appropriate for us as the city to advertise that or inform residents, hey, if you would like to see these facilities and form this group and get these signatures,
At a very high level,
us.
I know individual council members can take a position of support, and I know the body could take a general position of support that you would be encouraged if a group did that. As to what level of city resources and stuff, obviously that's a whole different topic of conversation, but look to Danny here in case he has, in case I'm misspeaking, but a general support for that type of measure within certain boundaries is probably appropriate. Any allocation of city resources and stuff is where we start to get into a little bit of trouble.
right, no, and I just mean, okay, so I'll just say it. If we say right now, anyone watching this, listening, that if you would be interested in helping to push this forward, call us. Is that appropriate,
So-
sir?
Well,
Okay.
no, because it needs to be a citizen-sponsored, and so it can't be
Right,
kind
well,
of
not
at the
call us,
direction
call Kathleen.
and getting help from the citizens, but it has to be really pushed and directed by the citizens and not by the city council or the city staff.
But if anybody is interested in the process that needs to be utilized and they would like to ask some questions or get additional information, I invite them to give me a call. We'll schedule a meeting and we can collect that information and go over it.
So they can do that, they can call the city
Yes.
clerk's office and
Yes,
find out all the.
absolutely.
Right, that's what I'm trying to help, like, lay out groundwork for anyone who may be watching this and wanting to know, what's the next step?
Very, very good point.
All right, thank you. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you, Karen. Shauna?
So I feel like I've been consumed the last 4 days with this topic. The amount of information that's in the packet is insane, and I've read through most of it. This is something that's been ongoing for many, many decades. So I feel like since I'm new to council, I've just been stressing myself out trying to play catch up and learn everything I can about this, so I can make an informed decision. And finally today, I'm like, God, you know what? I feel like I just need to be in the moment of almost not understanding, but using my perspective as the newbie, as someone who's like closest to being on the resident side of this, to bring maybe a better understanding of the entire situation, because I want to make sure that the residents understand like what's happening and kind of the severity of what's happening. And while there's a lot of information here, I almost feel like it doesn't do justice to the extent of the problem. So I just figured I would, kind of give my own perspective as a resident, right? So I drive down the street and I look at City Hall or I look at Lefebvre Center and I think, God, those are beautiful buildings. Like they look really nice from the street. What you don't realize from the outside is they're not ADA compliant in a lot of ways. There's, issues, the library I can get to in a second, but like you don't realize all the things that are going on inside because our public works department has been so amazing and keeping everything like really pretty on the outside. But there are issues going on. So as I've been like doing this deep dive, I was here for a meeting yesterday and I thought, you know what? We talk about the library a lot. I've heard, the council for the last couple of years talking about the library, but I've never, and I go to the library, my kids use the library, but I've never seen this for myself. So after the meeting, I walked over to the library and I got a little tour of the library. I encourage every resident in Glendora this week while it's raining, go to the library and see what is happening. It is, it's shocking, honestly, that something like this is happening in Glendora, and it continues to happen. It's been happening for decades, and for whatever reason, I'm sure there's a million good reasons, and some not so good reasons, like the can just keeps getting kicked down the road. There are like cracks in the concrete of the ceiling. There is, it's leaking. Like Adam was saying, like it pours in when it rains. Very apropos timing, as I were walking through there, getting my tour, we turned the corner and a giant ceiling tile had fallen right on the floor. There's like stuff everywhere. You can exposed electrical work up in the ceiling, water coming down, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. Okay, there's people in the library, and I just happened to I wonder what that feels like. So I bent down. That thing is heavy. A ceiling tile soaked with water is heavy. If that falls on an adult, it's gonna hurt. If it falls on a kid, someone's probably gonna end up in the hospital. So I think it's a bigger discussion that needs to be had, some of the issues that we're having. And I don't know how many residents have been following this for years and years. I don't know, but I think sometimes sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I think that whatever we do through this process, it's important to make sure that people understand when we're asking, citizens to consider a citizen initiative to spend a lot of money, which I'm just going to put out there. Like, I'm not somebody who's like, yay, I want to spend money and increase taxes. Like, I'm generally against that kind of a thing, but I also am. First of all, I think that residents in Glendora, we deserve good services and we deserve something that we can be proud of. So I just want to make sure that we are considering all aspects of this and also looking out for the way the city looks in general. Like, the longer all this deferred maintenance just gets kicked down the road, eventually we're going to go try to sell our homes, and the people coming in are going to be like, I don't know. The city looks really run down, and you can only keep up with that for so long. So all that to be said, I don't want to keep going on and on about it. I don't know what we need to do, but I think that giving people an idea of exactly what the problem is, is important at, like all these different facilities. I mean, the public works yard, I understand, is pretty bad, but I don't know if most people realize like what we mean when we say that. So I'd like to do that, like if there's a way to kind of, bring light to that for people. And then, maybe get some more information on, what these bond measures entail and how that works as far as, taxation and who bears the brunt of it, and is it residential, could it be commercial, can we weight it certain ways? I think there's a lot of different options, so I would just like to keep the conversation going in the public sphere so people understand that if we do get a citizen group and they're going out there saying, hey, we're trying to raise hundreds of millions of dollars, they understand A, what it's for, and B, what happens if they say no. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Shauna. Mendel?
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to support what Karen has said, that I hope that former officials, former elected people, people who have a strong heart for this city, whatever age group that you might be in, I hope you do take this serious. We need your help, and we need for you to call, and we need to create a town hall experience to inform and educate and illustrate the needs that we have. Shauna has said it very, very well. I want to personalize it. My wife and I have lived here for 40 plus years, and we've had to put a new roof on our house. We've had to obviously paint our house. We've had to fix elements of our house. She would like to have fixed more than I would have. So there's that healthy exchange that we have. We probably need to replace our driveway because there's cracks. We haven't had to repipe yet, but that's going to come. Notch it down a little bit. Some of us drive cars that are 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old. And at some point in time, we have to be accountable for the assets and the services that we have here. And Shauna's right. You drive by, and the city has done an excellent job of making sure that the buildings are looking well, but the insides are not looking well. And there's people that have lived here, and many of those have passed on, that leaned in at just the right time and built what we have here. And now we need to continue with the legacy which they have given us. And no one likes to see their property tax bill go up, but another $250 to $500 per year is probably what it's going to take to fix and to enhance what we have. And we're not looking to build some monstrous golden domed city hall or a police station or a senior adult center. But we need things to be fixed. A couple of years ago, Gary had an event at our Crowther Teen Center. And I believe, and John is sitting here, some of you can't see him, but I believe that his words were that this place has been around here for 20 or 25 years. And I was shocked. I was shocked because I thought it was like maybe a decade old. And there have been thousands of games played there and probably thousands of kids that have gone through that place, and it's 20 or 25 years old. And it looks in really good shape. But that's probably one of our newest places that the city has, and it's considered to be kind of old. And so I would like to encourage what has already been said to be done. I think from a city standpoint, I would encourage us to begin to explore the options of bonds and at least see what's out there. Rate, term, fees. Danny's right. The people have got to step up and do this, but the city needs to equip them with the kind of information that they need. We had a members ad hoc group 4 or 5 years ago that worked very, very hard to help us look at everything, and they were a key part of Measure E, and I would hope that some of them, that we could reach out on a personal basis and say, hey, you know, we need for you to step up again and help us. And because we just need to do this. The more and more that we spend to fix, the fix is going to run out. And we're in a building right now that there's a tarp that's been on top of this roof for how many months, John? And the roof is still not fixed. And I know all of the reasons why, but it's evident here. And I know that we're in a nice, warm, kind of cozy place here, but there's stuff that's feet away that needs to be fixed.
There's
So,
also sandbags by the doors outside. I took a little tour. There's
Yeah.
not only the tarp, there's like sandbags.
Yeah.
Things falling apart.
So I guess I'm encouraging us all, as Shauna and Karen have, to dig deep and look and see. And if you've never been a part of a public experience, maybe this is the time that you really need to step up and volunteer your time and talents, vision, and help us out, because we have some big things that need to be fixed. And with that, Adam, I think you've laid out the capital needs well, so thank you.
Thank you, Mendel. Karen, you were,
I was just going to say, because Mendel was saying that from the outside, everything looked good, but then he circled back to what I was going to say. Well, no, not really. You drive by and there's a tarp. No offense to Public Works, but I've had folks say to me that they're embarrassed to go by City Hall and see the tarp on the roof. So my invitation to those folks that have said that to me is, oh, why don't you turn that embarrassment into an initiative? So there you go. Thank you.
There you go. That's right.
thank you. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. I would agree with everything that was said by my colleagues. We've been putting Band-Aids on everything for decades now. It's time to rip the Band-Aid off, pun intended. Danny, if we do an in-depth study on our facilities and all the requirements it would take for a citizens initiative, that becomes public knowledge and they can use that in their campaign if they so choose?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I have a follow-up after you're done.
Understand. Okay, thank you. I don't know if I've done this yet, but I have a theme as my term as mayor, and it is honoring history, framing futures. I think that we can look back and honoring our history by respecting the talents, the vision, the skills that the people who made Glendora what it is today and did those things, and we're sitting in a 100-year-old building, and we don't, as long as we can all run and laugh and joke and play, 100 years old is great. If you're 100 years old and not having a good life, not so good. The other side of that theme is framing futures. And I think that we need, while we respect what has been presented to us from the historical creation of Glendora, I think we need to look forward to what's our next step. We need to build that next generation, the next 100 years, and make it that destination facility that you want to go to. And you drive by and to say, what an impressive city hall, and not see that umbrella over it or those types of pieces, okay? And no criticism, it's just we as a community need to realize we came here for a reason. We need to invest into it. We've done a great deal of investment. As Adam has shared, we've spent countless dollars in the last few years getting us back to where we hope to be. But we're not done yet, unfortunately. We have some more pieces. A lot of the city service facilities that we don't all see, you know, we see the big ones, the library, the city hall, the police department. What we don't see is all the behind-scenes places that make the city work. And most of those exist today as cobbled combinations of pieces that, well, we had this little barn, we'll turn it into something. We have a shed, or, I mean, it's incredible. I don't know what's newer, the teen center or the water facility. Probably the water facility building's newer. But boy, what they came out of was pretty Spartan. So the city has existed that way of not living frivolously and not having Taj Mahal civic centers like some of the newer communities around us. So I think we deserve to invest in our future and make this the place that offers the service, or can continue to offer the services we want to offer. So I would hope the community would embrace this, and I think we need to, we've got all those pieces, that information's there, fine tune it, put it together a little bit, and then see how we can get this done. So with that, I'll entertain a direction or motion, and I think Mr. Alaros may have something to share.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to perform the following. 1, provide a general description of all major city facility needs, clearly identifying estimate costs for each facility. Item 2, provide a summary of financing scenarios involving bond issuance, structure of illustrated the financial impact on property owners. And item 3, explore contracting with a consultant to document the visual impact and the needs, needed improvements. I can provide this to the clerk for, put it in the notes.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do you have a second?
Second, and could I add a thought?
Absolutely.
Which may amend, but I would like to create a pathway through our city clerk's office to allow people to call in and avail themselves, or to create a list of people, keying off of what Karen said, that could help us. And I don't know if that needs to be a motion, but I think that we need to have a process to get people involved.
So a couple things on that front. I think people can call in, and the city clerk can absolutely keep track of that. We have to be careful with the resources in how we do that. So I'm not sure it needs to be part of the motion, but definitely Kathleen can keep track if anyone
Okay.
calls in
Okay.
and report out on that. Happy to do that.
Okay.
Any additional discussion on the motion and second? Did you have any
No.
question or comment?
Is,
Writing down furiously.
Does it offer the direction or
Yeah, I think it
resolve we
captures.
were looking to get tonight?
Yeah, I think it captures a lot of, I think, what I heard today, obviously we provided a lot, so that allows for a little more transparency as it relates to what makes up that 50 million and 250 million, and sort of what facilities are included, which we can do. And I think the various financing terms, I think, incorporates a lot of the comments we heard about impact to property owners and what it looks like in terms of residential or commercial in a typical bond issuance. And so we've shared some of that information previously, and you do bond measures or sales tax measures even, there's an ordinance that's adopted that layouts the rules. So I think by that, we can include sort of a sample from another city even on what they did. So it puts it in perspective. I think we can absolutely provide a lot of that with that motion. That makes sense to me.
What I didn't hear was a date that we expected something back, so can we, I'm big on dates.
All right.
Accountability,
We will come back within the next quarter, if that's okay with you.
that's fine. I know your plate's full, so
Okay.
I want to be flexible, but I want people to know that there is accountability
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Okay.
We can do that.
And there's some sense of urgency.
Yes,
Many of
sure.
these
Yeah,
items
yeah.
aren't going to wait for the process. So
That's
correct.
it's, summertime's good, weather's on our side, but sometimes others are not. So, okay, with that, we have a motion. May we all place our vote? Would appear the motion passes unanimously. We have all voted yes, so thank you for that. Motion carries. Very well. On to new business. Next item is the 2024 Annual General Plan Progress Report and Housing Element Implementation of the annual, Housing Element Implementation and the Annual Progress Report. And presenting tonight is Yeleni Siva. Yeleni, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and the members of council. Staff is requesting that the City Council receive and file the state's annual general plan progress report update and the Housing Element Implementation Annual Progress Report for the 2024 calendar year. The state requires that the city submit a general plan annual progress report to the City Council, the Office of Planning and Research, and the Department of Housing and Community Development Department, HCD, on the status of the general plan, its implementation progress, and how the city is meeting the region's housing needs. The general plan is often referred to as the blueprint of the city and is a comprehensive, long-range plan that provides the framework for future growth and enhancements throughout the city. The city completed a comprehensive general plan update in 2007 and adopted Community Plan 2025, which is comprised of various elements that address various topics and provide goals, policies, and programs. The elements can be updated whenever as needed, except for the housing element, which needs to be updated every 8 years. The most recent updated element in the housing is the housing element, which was approved by HCD in August of 23. The safety element is currently in the process of being updated. The state also requires that the progress report be submitted on a yearly basis to provide an update of the city's progress in implementing its policies, programs that are identified in the general plan. And additionally, the report is also gives an update on how many housing units were constructed during the reporting period. HCD uses this information to track the city's housing information, including the city's progress towards its share of regional housing needs. The city is currently on the 6th cycle of the housing element, which was approved by the City Council in 2022 and approved by the state on August 10th of 2023. There are housing programs that address community housing needs throughout the city. During the reporting period, January 1st of 24 through the end of December in 2024, the following were approved, permitted, and completed. The Planning Commission and City Council approved entitlements for a total of 116 housing units. The Building and Safety Division permitted 51 single-family homes, ADUs, and multifamily units. And the Building and Safety Division also conducted a total of 6 final inspections for single-family homes, ADUs, and multifamily units. The next few of our slides are some notable accomplishments throughout the city. The first one here is a development for a development of 39 residential townhomes, condominium units. This is another development on Bonnie Cove Avenue, which consisted of 30 detached 2-story residential units. This is another a land use accomplishment for a medical office building on Route 66, which the Planning Commission approved. It's a two-story, around 6,200 square foot medical office. These are accomplishments regarding the circulation element of the general plan. This is the Safe Streets program, which is a crosswalk installation on Foothill in Minnesota. This is an accomplishment in the open space and recreation element of the general plan, which is at Louis Pompey Memorial Sports Park. It's a shade structure project. And the next steps are requested that the general plan annual progress report and the housing element implementation annual progress report has to be submitted to the city council prior to being filed with the state. The progress reports have to be filed with the state and OPR before April 1st of this year. The recommendation from staff is that the city council receive and file the general plan annual progress report and the housing element implementation annual progress report. Thank you.
Great. Eleni, thank you very much. Great information. Bring it back to council for any questions or discussions. Shauna?
I have no questions. Thank you very much.
Mendel?
Excellent job. Thank you.
Karen?
No questions, thanks.
Michael?
No questions, thank you, well done.
Wow, me either. That's great. I think it's interesting to see all the houses that have been permitted. Takes time, obviously, to build, and some don't always start on when we think they might, but keep those completions coming, so that's great. Thanks for the report.
I'll move to receive and file.
And motion by Michael, second
Second.
by Mendel. And if you will, please vote. Looks like the item passes unanimously, as everyone has voted yes. So thank you very much. Thank you. Next item is to approve the updated contract with the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health for public health services. And presenting tonight will be Deputy City Manager Marie Reese. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. For your consideration tonight is the approval of the updated contract with the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health for public health services. The LA County Department of Public Health is one of the largest public health agencies in the nation, and it works to protect and improve the health and well-being of over 10 million residents in LA County. The existing contract is over 60 years old and hasn't been updated, amended, or revised for the last 60 years. Some key points to the updated agreement include an evergreen term, which allows for the contract to renew every 5 years unless the city council or the county decide to terminate the contract. A 180-day notice is required and would go into effect the following July 1st of the notice. The county agrees to continue to perform public health services as authorized or mandated by state laws or regulations, and that includes investigating health and sanitary conditions in detention facilities operated by the city, like our jail, performing public health services that impose a specific duty or obligation on the local health office to observe or enforce, and performing such public health services as authorized or mandated by provisions of Title 11 Health and Safety of the LA County Code. It also issues public health permits and licenses to permittees located within the city, such as restaurant grades. There's no fiscal impact associated with this action. All services are provided at no cost unless we ask for a permit or an inspection. At that time, they'll charge us what the fee is, and it belongs to the requester. This concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you, Marie. We'll open up for comments or discussion. Mendel?
I'm going to vote yes, so please don't take this. But when I read the staff report, I had to read it twice. 60 years, and you said it, there hasn't been any substantial changes made. So in 60 years, I mean, the world of health has changed. So what if we wanted to propose a change? Is there an ability to do that without canceling this contract? Because, I mean, we need it, and they do a great service and all that, but it just caught my eye. 60 years?
So we've actually been working on these revisions for the past year. They've
Okay.
opened the door to really listen to stakeholders and cities provide input. So I believe that they're open-minded to make any changes if we ask. The door always remains open for any revisions or suggestions to changing the contract. And I don't doubt that the county would be opposed to hearing us out and coming to a compromise if we needed to.
Okay. The only thing that I ever hear is it seems as though some people have a hard time getting approved by the health department, and maybe I'm misunderstanding things, but maybe, you know, we could at least explore with them a better way to go out and approve a business that's opening up, because we continually hear, at least I do, of folks that are trying to open up whatever, and the health department is holding it up. So is there a process change that we can at least gently encourage them to make, or am I going down a path that is totally wrong? And
You know, we all
it
go
wouldn't be
down
the
paths
first time,
sometimes.
so please.
I would just say this, that in addition to everything that Marie shared today, when we do get a business, for example, that's trying to pass health that has a problem, they do reach out to the city, and we will make the phone call to the county to ask what the holdup is, because I know this may surprise everyone, but the city gets blamed for everything when there's a delay, right? It's automatically
Right.
the city's fault. So staff does have a really good relationship with the individuals that are doing those inspections, and so when needed or when asked for help by an applicant, we're happy to reach out and sort of get a status update, which typically is what that entails. And oftentimes an individual is, what oftentimes happens is they're doing something that's not quite in line with what the expectations are. And sometimes we're happy to provide that information.
Right, I
and
know
other
that-
times it's more difficult. But yeah, I would just simply say that the county bureaucracy is large, and sometimes things get lost. And so if you have questions, the city's always willing to try to at least ask the question on your behalf to figure that out. But overall, for as many inspections as they actually do, we actually hear very little.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that update, and I'm going to support it, so thanks.
Thank you, Mendel. Karen?
Thank you, Marie. And yeah, I know that the Department of Public Health has been going through a lot of internal changes over the last 4 years and a lot of restructuring. And so I'm sure that figures into the whole mix, but they continue to serve all of the residents of LA County very well, despite the heat they came under during the pandemic. They did some extraordinary things to protect lives, so appreciate all that they do, and thank you for working on this contract.
Thank you, Karen. Shauna?
I have no questions. I was a little surprised at 60 years. I wasn't even born 60 years ago. Sorry, wasn't even born 60 years ago, so I was surprised, but I have no questions. Thank you.
Michael?
Thank you, Marie, for the presentation. I would echo what Mendel had mentioned about the issues with the health department and our establishments trying to get their approval. I've had to step in myself personally and go reach out to the county to get them to do the right thing. Many times what happens is inspector goes in, writes something up, they fix it, call the inspector to come out, another inspector comes out and has something else, completely different list. And it's really, really frustrating. I'm assuming that I have a difference of opinion with my colleague Karen over here about the COVID situation and everything that happened back there. I think it was a big mess, being the mayor at the time. This is separate and apart, though, from that, because they have overall approval of anyone that's in the county. This is just for services that we have to deal with. And, I'm going to support it and approve it, but they have a long way to go, in my mind, to get my overdying support for their services, because they're lacking in many different areas. But it is what it is. We need to have the services. We're obligated, in my opinion, so I'll vote in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the contract uniform amongst all the cities, or is it personalized at all?
It's uniform amongst all cities.
Pretty uniform?
Yes.
Okay. And looking at what the scope of the services is, the lack of costs or fees to the city, I can't imagine wanting to say, I want to start a health department. Some neighbors are thinking they want to do that. I can't even imagine that. So thank you for reestablishing and freshening up the contract and keeping this going. And I think on a boots-on-the-ground service perspective for some of our businesses, having those contacts is always valuable, and let's encourage the applicants. Let us know if the delays come. Let's try to engage. And I know our community development group is very good about helping hurdle some of those challenges. So, great. With that, I'll
move to
accept the
approve.
motion. Here, Trigger all of us has moved it again, so we have a second, please.
I'll second it.
Karen, thank you. And with that, let's vote. Looks like motion passes unanimously. All voted yes, and the motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. Moving to item 13 is to adopt a city council resolution providing notice of intent to withdraw from, am I on the right item? Yes, I am. Okay, thank you. Pages all said I was, I doubt myself. I'll restart. Adopt a city council resolution providing notice of intent to withdraw from the Independent Cities Risk Management Authority, or ICRMA. And with that, we again have the pleasure of Marie to present. So, Marie.
Thank you. This next item for the City Council's consideration is the adoption of a resolution providing notice of intent to withdraw from the ICRMA, or Independent Cities Risk Management Authority. ICRMA is an insurance risk pool that provides a combination of self-insurance, pooled coverage, and other risk management products and programs. The risk pool actually stabilizes long-term costs and reduces risk and increases safety for its participants. Glendora is actually one of the founding members of ICRMA beginning in 1986. At one point, ICRMA had 35 members. However, as of this July 1st, 2025, we're going to be down to 12 members. Since 2009, there's been a consistent decline in membership of ICRMA, going from 22 cities in 2009 down to the 12 we're going to see now. And when a member city leaves, the administrative costs don't decrease. Instead, they stay the same or they increase, and they redistribute those costs across the existing members. Glendora's insurance costs also have increased significantly over the past 3 years, and as a result of administrative fees and insurance premiums. Moreover, recently, we were told premiums are going to increase between 9 and 14% for the next coverage year. And that's due to the natural disasters that took place over the United States, such as Hurricane Helene on the East Coast and the Palisades Fire here in Southern California. Given these forecasts, it's imperative we evaluate different options to mitigate these high premiums coming up. In accordance with the bylaws, the notice of intent to withdraw from the JPA must be received by ICRMA no later than July 1 of the preceding year. So adopting this resolution now will become effective June 30th of 2026. We'll take this time to thoroughly explore alternative risk management strategies for the council to consider in the first quarter of 2026. Adoption of this resolution will preserve the city's right to withdraw from ICRMA if better insurance policies are found and available to the city. On the other hand, if it's better to stay in ICRMA, we can rescind our notice by December 1st of this year. So as long as we do the research and get it to the council for consideration, we can always have options of staying in the pool or leaving the pool. From a fiscal impact, exiting the pool has some fees associated with it. The first year is 100% of the prior year's administrative fee. Year 2 is 50%, and year 3 is 25%. We estimate that cost to leave ICRMA to be approximately $500,000 over 3 years, but we're confident that if we find an alternative, we would easily make that money up in the first year with new premiums. And the offset of the potential savings and programs we can put back into operating and maintenance programs here throughout the city. So that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions in this matter as well.
Great, thank you, Marie. Bring it back for discussions or questions. Karen?
Thank you for your work on this. And as you stated, going from 35 cities to 12 cities, and that of those 12 cities, that some that may possibly have a higher risk than the city of Glendora, that makes it a little disadvantageous to us. So looking for other alternatives is a great idea. So thank you for doing that.
Great, thank you, Karen. Shauna?
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate you being proactive and looking for ways to save the city money. So thank you.
Mendel?
Echo everything that's been said. I think this is a really good move, and it'll save us a lot of money. So thank you.
All right, Michael?
I understand all the angst you've been going through with this, as well as our law firm and your predecessor that loves them so much. Just one question for you. On our exit date, we are covered for past claims to that exit date?
Correct. If someone submits a claim and it occurred during our policy coverage, ICRMA will continue to cover us.
Even though we've exited?
Correct.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And, I think it's important that the public recognize that being in a pool is typically supposed to be a good opportunity, and economies of scale. When it declines so much, maybe not. And that the cost to exit, should the exit be the decision, the administrative cost is not included in our premiums. So we're saving the premiums, as you identified. So that's very good. And certainly our experience hasn't pushed up all of that. Our experience has actually been very good of recent, so.
If I just may add to your comfort
Please.
as well, timing is impeccable. 2 weeks ago, the city of Huntington Park, which is in our pool, was raided by the FBI. So our timing is dead on to consider an exit.
Yeah, let's go surround ourselves with good neighbors. Yeah, there you go. Great. Well, with that, thank you. I have no other questions. I will accept a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Michael has moved, and Mendel second. Thank you. And any discussion? No, seeing none, please vote. Appears to be a unanimous decision. It passes. Everybody has voted yes. Thank you. Thank you, Marie. With that, that concludes our agendized business. I'll bring it back for any member comments or statements. Anybody? Michael?
I'd like to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day on the 17th. And most importantly, I'd like to wish my bride a happy birthday this Friday.
Hey, happy birthday, Mrs. Alawas. Shauna? Nothing, okay. Mendel?
Keep your speed down. It's going to rain. It's wet. There's students out, so travel safe. Thank you.
Karen? All right. And I will have nothing else to add. Adam? Danny? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all for participating in your leadership, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. The meeting is adjourned at 8:42.